Welcome back to TESS'S Cryptids. Are you ready to get a little hairy with it? This time we're trekking through the bamboo forests of China to track down the Yeren, their version of Bigfoot or the Yeti. But this isn't just some modern-day, monster mash, is it?
You're absolutely right. The Yeren, it's steeped in Chinese history and folklore. Like, we're talking centuries of stories, sightings, and cultural significance.
Okay, so before we even get into, whether this thing is real or not, can you kind of paint us a picture? How far back do these stories actually go?
Oh, way back. I mean, we can trace mentions of wild men in Chinese texts. As far back as the 4th century BC, during the Warring States period, you have texts like the Nine Songs, which describes this kind of mysterious mountain spirit. I mean, it's open to interpretation, of course. But some scholars believe it could be an early reference to something like the Yeren.
Wow, so it's not just some fleeting cryptid fad. It's really, deeply embedded in their history.
Exactly. And the depictions have remained surprisingly consistent over time, talking about, large, strong creatures covered in hair, lurking in the mountainous regions of China, just like our buddy Bigfoot, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay, so we've got ancient roots, consistent descriptions, and a healthy dose of mystery. But how has the image of the Yeren kind of evolved over time? Did it always have this terrifying reputation?
Well, it's interesting. During the Tang Dynasty, roughly 618 to 907 AD, the descriptions of the Yuren's appearance become more varied. Sometimes they're portrayed as almost human-like, other times more beastly, and then you get this fascinating new character introduced into the lore, the Zhu.
A Zhu? What in the world is a Zhu?
The Yu is this lustful, ape-like creature that's said to, abduct women, almost like a cautionary tale, right? But here's the twist. You also have stories of wild women who do the kidnapping, snatching men and carrying them off to the mountains, like a cryptid role reversal.
Huh. Okay, so we've got the Yeren, this mysterious wild man, and then the Jew who kidnaps women, and the wild women who kidnap men. Talk about a complicated family tree. What does all this tell us about how the Yeren fits into Chinese culture?
It's fascinating, right? These different depictions could be a reflection of societal anxieties or cultural norms of
Mhm.
different periods. The Jew might represent fears about the untamed wilderness, while the wild women could be a way of exploring themes of female power or challenging traditional gender roles.
It's like the Yeren isn't just a monster, it's almost like a mirror, reflecting back the fears and fascinations of the people telling the stories.
Exactly. And these stories aren't just kind of scattered throughout China. There's a particular region that seems to be the Yeren hotspot, the Shenangjia Forestry District. In the Hubei province, that's where the bulk of modern sightings occur and where the local lore is the strongest.
So there's a specific spot where all the action is happening. Tell me more about this Shenangjia Forestry District. Why is it so special when it comes to Yeren sightings?
Well, it's a remote mountainous area with dense forests, perfect for hiding a large, hairy creature, right? Plus, there are all sorts of intriguing local legends surrounding the Yeren in Shenangjia. Some say they're descendants of laborers who escaped the construction of the Great Wall of China, hiding out in the mountains for centuries.
Okay, that's a new one for me. Escaped laborers turn mythical creatures. That's an origin story worthy of a blockbuster movie. No wonder this place is a magnet for Yeren enthusiasts. When did this whole Yeren fever really start to grip China?
The 20th century saw a surge in reports, especially after the Mao era. When researching these kinds of topics became less taboo, suddenly it wasn't just folklore anymore. Scientists and researchers started taking an interest.
It's like the Yeren went from campfire stories to the front page of the newspaper. What sparked this shift toward scientific inquiry?
Well, with increased interest came media coverage. You had expeditions, research societies topping up, offering rewards for evidence, and this unprecedented reliance on citizen science. It was like the whole country got swept up in urine fever.
So it wasn't just academics in ivory towers. It was everyday people out in the forest looking for clues.
That's pretty amazing. Did the scientists have any theories about what the urine could be? Was there any talk of missing links or evolutionary cousins?
Absolutely. You had some prominent scientists suggesting the Yeren could be a descendant of Gigantopithecus, this extinct giant ape that once roamed Asia. Others proposed connections to Paranthropus robustus, an ancient hominid from Africa. It was a thrilling time for those who believed the Yeren could be a missing link in human evolution.
So we've got ancient legends, a surge in modern interest, and some tantalizing scientific theories. But it wasn't just about science, was it? The Yeren seems to have taken on a deeper meaning in Chinese culture, especially after the Mao era.
You're spot on. The Yeren became a symbol of wildness, of freedom, and of connection to nature. After the restrictions of the Mao era, this resonated deeply with people. It's almost like the Yeren represented this longing for something untamed, something primal, in a rapidly changing world. And it wasn't just scientists and explorers who were fascinated by the Yeren. Artists and writers started incorporating this creature into their work as well, right?
Absolutely. You see the Yeren popping up in literature, paintings, and even film. One particularly interesting example is Song Yuxing's erotic tale, A Yeren Seeks a Mate, where the female Yeren is portrayed as a strong and desirable figure. It challenges traditional notions of femininity and sexuality, using the Yeren as a vehicle to explore these themes.
That's fascinating. So the Yeren wasn't just a monster lurking in the shadows. It became this potent cultural symbol. Used to comment on everything from societal anxieties to environmental concerns. But of course, no cryptid discussion is complete without addressing the skeptics. What do they have to say about the Yeren? Where's the evidence?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that sparked heated debates over the years. We'll dive into the evidence, or lack thereof, and unpack the skeptics' arguments in the next part of our adventure with the Yeren. Stay tuned. Welcome back to TESS'S Cryptids. We were just talking about the Yeren's rise to stardom in Chinese culture, becoming the symbol of freedom and wildness. But now, let's get down to brass tacks. What about the evidence or lack thereof for this elusive creature?
Right, because symbolism is great and all, but we need something, tangible, something to sink our teeth into.
Hmm?
What do the skeptics say about all those alleged sightings?
Well, they argue that most, if not all, of these sightings can be chalked up to misidentification.
Misidentification, like mistaking a bear for a hairy humanoid.
Exactly. Think about the Asian black bear. It can walk upright for short periods, and from a distance, its size and, shaggy coat could easily be mistaken for a Yeren.
Okay, that makes sense for some cases. But what about those reports of tool use or like intelligent behavior we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Surely a bear isn't going to start stacking rocks or leaving, cryptic messages in the forest.
That's where things get a bit trickier. Primates, like macaques, can exhibit surprisingly complex behaviors. So, what might appear to be tool use or intelligence could simply be a natural behavior that's been misinterpreted.
So it's like our brains are trying to fit what we see into this like Yeren narrative, even if it's just a monkey doing monkey things. But surely there has to be some physical evidence out there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, footprints, hair samples, something concrete.
There have been numerous claims, of course, but time and time again, when these Yeren artifacts are subjected to scientific scrutiny, they turn out to be something else entirely.
Like that supposed monkey boy skull we mentioned earlier. I remember you saying it was like a human skull, not a missing link.
Precisely. It turned out to be a human skull with a genetic condition that caused some unusual features. And those hair samples that supposedly came from a Yeren, most have been identified as belonging to known animals, like bears, monkeys, or even domestic animals that have escaped into the wilderness.
So it's a bit of a letdown for those hoping for a slam dunk Yeren confirmation.
Yeah.
But even with the lack of, hard evidence, there are still those dedicated researchers and enthusiasts who haven't given up hope. What keeps them going?
I think it's that inherent human fascination with the unknown. The possibility that something undiscovered could be out there, hidden in the shadows. It's a powerful motivator. And with the Yeren, there's the added element of its deep cultural significance.
It's not just a cryptid. It's a part of Chinese history and identity. It represents something, bigger than just a flesh and blood creature.
Exactly. It symbolizes a connection to nature, to the wildness that still exists in the world. And for some, it represents a challenge to the status quo, a reminder that not everything can be explained or controlled.
So even if the Yeren turns out to be a myth, its impact on Chinese culture is undeniable. But for those who still believe, what are they focusing on? What are the key arguments they use to support the Yeren's existence?
Well, they often point to the sheer volume and consistency of eyewitness accounts. These reports, spanning decades and coming from diverse individuals, describe remarkably similar features. And while eyewitness testimony can be unreliable, they argue that the sheer number of reports warrants further investigation.
So it's the idea that where there's smoke, there's fire. Even if individual sightings can be explained away, the overall pattern suggests there might be something more to it. Are there any specific sightings that stand out as particularly compelling?
One of the most famous is the 1976 sighting by a group of forestry workers in Shenangjia. They described encountering a tall, hairy creature walking upright. The details they provided, including the creature's size, reddish-brown fur, and human-like face, have become ingrained in Yeren lore.
Okay, I can see why that one would capture people's imagination. A group of forestry workers out in the wilds of Shenangjia coming face-to-face with a potential Yeren. That's the stuff of legends. Are there any other noteworthy sightings?
Another intriguing one occurred in 1980 when a group of scientists claimed to have observed an entire Yeren family, a male, a female, and a young one, foraging near a riverbank.
A whole Yeren family. That's taking it to a whole new level. But I'm guessing there's no photographic evidence to back up these claims.
Unfortunately, no, and that's the recurring theme with Yeren sightings. Compelling stories, but a lack of hard proof.
So we're back to square one. Fascinating anecdotes, intriguing theories, but ultimately no smoking gun. Does this mean the search for the Yeren is doomed to fail?
Well, it depends on how you define success. Even if we never find definitive proof of the Yeren's existence, the search itself has yielded valuable insights. We've learned more about the biodiversity of these remote regions, the power of folklore, and the enduring human desire to explore the unknown.
And who knows, maybe with advancements in technology like improved camera traps or DNA analysis techniques, we might get that irrefutable evidence someday. Until then, the Yeren remains a captivating enigma, a symbol of the wildness that still lurks at the edges of our understanding.
Beautifully put. And that wildness, both literal and metaphorical, is something worth preserving, whether the Yeren walks among us or only in our imaginations.
I couldn't agree more. So what's next for our exploration of the Yeren? Is there anything else we should consider before wrapping up our cryptid adventure?
Absolutely. In the final part of our exploration of the Yeren, we'll delve deeper into the cultural significance of this creature, its impact on local communities, and what the future might hold for those who believe in its existence. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to TESS'S Cryptids. We've been on this incredible journey, tracking the Yeren through the tangled forests of history, folklore, and scientific debate.
Yeah, it's been quite the expedition, hasn't it? We've seen how this creature has really captured imaginations for centuries, becoming the symbol of wildness, freedom, and the enduring mystery of the natural world.
And while, the evidence for its existence remains elusive, there's no denying the impact the Yeren has had on Chinese culture. We touched on this earlier, but I'd love to hear more about its cultural significance, especially in the region where, most sightings occur.
You're talking about Shenangjia, right? It's kind of become like a mecca for Yeren enthusiasts, drawing tourists and researchers hoping to catch a glimpse of the legendary creature.
Exactly. So how has the Yeren kind of shaped the identity of this region? Has it become like a sort of local mascot, or is there more to it?
Oh, it's definitely become a symbol of the region, a source of local pride. You see Yeren statues, murals, even themed restaurants and hotels. It's become intertwined with the cultural and economic fabric of Shenangjia.
It's like how Nessie has become synonymous with Loch Ness, drawing visitors from all over the world. So it's not just about the creature itself, but the stories, the mystery, the allure of the unknown that draws people in.
Precisely. And for the local communities, this Yeren tourism can be a significant economic driver. It creates jobs, supports businesses, and helps preserve the natural beauty of the region, which is ultimately a good thing.
So it's like a win-win situation.
Yeah.
People get to experience the thrill of the unknown, local communities benefit economically, and the environment is protected. But beyond tourism, has the Yeren influenced other aspects of Chinese culture, like art or literature?
Absolutely. As we mentioned earlier, the Yeren has inspired countless stories, poems, paintings, and even films. It's become a recurring motif in Chinese art, representing themes of wildness, nature, and the untamed spirit.
It's like the Yeren is this blank canvas onto which people project their hopes, fears, and fascination with the unknown. But what about the future of the Yeren? Will it forever remain a creature of myth and legend? Or is there still hope for finding concrete evidence?
Well, that's a question that continues to drive researchers and enthusiasts. While the lack of conclusive evidence is certainly a hurdle, there's always the possibility that new discoveries could emerge.
New technologies, new research methods, maybe even a lucky break could change everything. Until then, it seems like the Yeren will continue to captivate us, challenging our understanding of the natural world and reminding us that there are still mysteries out there waiting to be uncovered.
You've hit the nail on the head. The Yeren, whether real or mythical, serves as a powerful reminder of the wonders that still exist beyond our grasp. And it's that sense of wonder, that thirst for exploration and discovery, that keeps the spirit of the Yeren alive.
And on that note, we'll have to bid farewell to our hairy friend, at least for now. But who knows? Maybe someday we'll revisit the mystery of the Yeren with new evidence, new insights, and a renewed sense of wonder.
Until then, keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears open for any rustling in the bamboo forests. You never know what you might find.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the Yeren. We'll see you next time on TESS'S Cryptids, where we'll continue to explore the strange, the mysterious, and the downright unbelievable creatures that lurk at the edges of our